Yo, what's happening people, and welcome back to another video on the channel. In this video I'm going to be showing you the two methods that I use to make lo-fi melodies. One of the methods uses flat chords and a counter melody, and the second method is going to show you how to make some full sounding single instrument melodies. I'll also be showing you ways that you can add variation to your loops so each one sounds different, so make sure you stick around to the end. If you're new around here, then consider hitting the subscribe button and click the bell next to it too so you can be notified every time that I upload. I'm just under 40 subscribers away from 500 now, and as soon as I hit it I'm going to be dropping a free melody kit. Now with all that said, let's jump straight into it. So the first method I'm going to show you is the one that I use most often. To start this one out, you're going to just want to make a chord progression. And for lo-fi melodies, you're going to want to go for something more than just basic triads. Really, you're going to want to add more than 4 notes in each chord, and this is just going to help it sound nice and full. Once you've got these basic chords down, you can start to mess with inversions, but I'll get onto that later in the video. So with lo-fi melodies, I usually have my BPM somewhere between 70 and 85, so I think I'll go with around 80 for this one. Then you're going to want to choose a scale to work in, so mine's already set to C major, I'll just leave it there. So the last thing is sound selection. You're going to want to go for a nice soft piano, and guitars, some synths and pads will work as well. So I'll start by placing down a nice full chord, so I'll start on my root and just keep skipping notes until I've got a sound I like. And the easy way to get your next chord is to just go from your root note and count down 5 semitones and then make a chord from there. I think I'm just going to take this chord now and copy it across, but I'm going to move this B down to the A. Now I can hear this A going down to this G here, so I'm going to place this G and then make a chord backwards from here. Now what I can do is just copy this across, and we can add some variation to this second half with inversions. All this means is I'm going to take some notes from the chords and transpose them up or down an octave so everything doesn't sound the same. So now we've got a chord progression laid down, we can go in on top of this and add our counter melody. I'll be using a guitar for this, but you can really experiment with instruments here to give your melodies character. So because we've already put our chords down, we have a range here that we can use to make our counter melody. And as long as I stay inside this range, I know that everything that I put down is going to sound good. And another quick tip is, if you use some of these semitone intervals here, you can add some real suspense to your sound as well. So now I've got my chords down with a counter melody on top. The last thing I want to add to this is a bass line. For this, I'll usually either use a sub bass or a bass guitar VST. In this case, I'm going to use a bass guitar. And again, for this, all you're going to want to do is use the notes that are already there in your chord progression. The root notes tend to work better, but you can experiment with some of the other notes as well. Now for this melody, these notes are a bit too high for the bass, so I'm just going to transpose these down an octave. Next, I'm just going to go through and EQ these sounds and make sure nothing's clashing, so I'll be back in a minute to show you the full loop. So this second method is going to be a lot more simple in terms of layers, but it's going to be sounding just as good by the time it's finished. For this one, I'm only going to be using one instrument, so you're going to want to pick a nice soft instrument. Some pads and bright synths can become really fatiguing on the ear, so you're just going to want to pick something that sounds clean and high quality. You can never go wrong using a felt type piano, so that's what I've chosen. I've chosen the soft piano from Spitfire Labs. So I'm going to start this loop the same way I started the first one and just lay down some bass chords. Adding 4 or more notes to your chords is going to just make them sound nice and full and give you more than enough to work with. And I'm just going to stay at 80 BPM and stay in C major. A good tip for writing your chords is to just find the root notes that you like the sound of and then build the chords from those root notes. So for this loop, I'm going to have my chords ascend up the keyboard, and that's hopefully going to give me a nice bright and positive vibe. Now that I've got these root notes down, I'm just going to go and build them into chords. Then I think I'm just going to split this and add another chord in at the end. Next, I'm just going to take all the root notes and copy them down an octave to add some bass to the loop. Now the trick here is to start moving some of these notes around to find a melody and rhythm that you like. And like I said earlier, when you got 4 or more notes in your chords, you have a lot more to mess around with, so things can get really interesting here. So I like the way that sounds now. The last thing I'm going to do is just randomize the velocities to make it sound a bit more human. And in about 2 or 3 minutes, we have a full sounding piano melody. So that is going to bring us to the end of today's video. Hopefully after watching this, you'll easily be able to make lo-fi melodies time after time. If you enjoyed the video, then hit the thumbs up button before you leave. And if you're new around here, then consider subscribing and turning post notifications on so you'll never miss out on any of my uploads. If you're still here watching at the end of the video, then honestly, big up to you. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.